Hi guys, welcome to my channel. My name is Sabrina. Today I'm going to do a sew along. I'm working on my designer mystery block of the month from the Fat Quarter Shop, the 2024 quilt. But it basically looks like this. Is how it's going to look when it's finished. It's a monthly subscription for those of you who may not know. Each month you get a different block by a different designer. So block 1 was the Peaceful Heart. Block 2 was Happiness Blooms. So block 1 design was Anne Sutton. Again, that's what that one looks like. And then block 2 was Stacy Les Sue. Block 2. So each month you get a different block, and you get the fabric to do this part of the block. In order to do the finishing parts, that's a separate purchase that you have to do. So here's block 3, Robin Pickens. So that's really cute. And I did not sew block 4 yet. So here is block 4. I have everything cut. And this one's called Token of Love. Designer was Chelsea Stratton. So this is the one I'm working on. So we'll do this one today. Now, I do have the finishing kit for these. And I started, I'll show you my block 1 is done as far as the bottom section of it. So I have the block 1 done. And then I added the sashing in the bottom. But here's how block 1 turned out. I think it's really cute. And then here's block 2. And here's block 3. Now, I'm going to work on getting the block 4 done. Now, here is what it will look like when it's all completed, once you put all the finishing pieces together on all those 12 blocks. That's how it'll look. So I did start on the flower. As you can see in here, the flower section. So I have that done. And this is one of the first quilts I've done. I don't usually do these mystery blocks, or I don't usually subscribe to these things, but this year I did. But I wanted to show you all the different categories of the fabric that you're using for this. So there's all the different fabrics that are being used for this quilt. So you can see we have fabrics A through U. And I just recently ordered myself some of those alphabetties because I did cut all my fabric for this, thinking I'll remember what these blocks are for. I'll remember what these blocks are for. What these are for. And then we have all these little teeny tiny pieces, different colors. And then we have these pieces. So I'm like, yeah, I'll remember. No, I didn't remember. So when I started sewing these together, I was sewing the wrong pieces to the wrong side of this. So I was sewing things to the long side rather than sewing the smaller squares to this side. So I had all of these sections done and I had to unpick them all. I was so mad at myself. That night I ordered some alphabetis from the Fat Quarter Shop. Now I have learned my lesson. I need to mark everything. But yeah, so this kit is pretty cute because I like how it comes in this box, and then as you finish your blocks you can store them inside here, and you can also store a lot of the pieces you have cut already. So it's a nice little keepsake box. But I do have a lot of this cut, and also you get a lot of extra fabric. So as far as I can tell, I think most of this fabric, unless I didn't cut something yet, a lot of this fabric is extra. So block 2 may have used, block 1 and 2 may have used some of the colors in block 3, but I didn't use all the fabric from block 1 and block 2. So I've been trying to use up that fabric before I cut the fabric up that came with this block 3. So, I mean, some of these pieces I didn't even have to use, but I think there's more than enough fabric left over to do something else with it that you can store in your box here. But anyway, for those of you who weren't familiar with how that works, I'm going to get started on block 4. And you guys can sew along with me if you have a project you're working on, or maybe you are working on the designer mystery block. But let's get started on that. Okay, let's get started. Block 4. Here's all my fabric I cut already, and I'm going to follow along with this pattern. This white fabric here, it's hard to determine which side is the right side. I always have to put it under the light right here to determine, because there's little polka dots on it. It's hard to tell which side is the right side or the wrong side. Okay. I'm just using a friction pen to do this. don't mind using a friction pen if it's not going to be seen. And when I press these, it'll press out. You won't be able to see it. I'm going to trim these ears off. I would use a cutting mat, but for video purposes here, I don't have room for a cutting mat in front of me. There we go. Okay, now we need this, and Okay guys, I did grab my cutting mat because I wanted to make sure that these measured exactly as the pattern says they should measure. So all I did was take this roller and I lined up this diagonal line on the diagonal of the block and then just trimmed it down to the measurement that it says in the pattern. So now I feel better about how these are going to measure. take these over to the cutting mat and make sure they measure what they are supposed to measure. Okay, I did just shave off just a hair. Not much I had to trim off, but I like having the seam allowance just a little bit tinier, a scant 1/4 inch, just so that if I need to do that, I can. Alright, so we need to make 4 of these. I apologize if you hear all the traffic out there beside me. I live near a busy road and they think it's NASCAR out there. Police sit out there for days at a time, or a whole day. They'll sit out there for a whole day, and I just see them pulling people over constantly. I hope my pressing mat doesn't come crashing down, because I kind of have it propped up between my table and my fabric shelf over here. And I didn't want to have to keep turning away to press, so that you guys can see what I'm doing. I'm going to press these towards the white. Okay, I'm going to check the measurements on these. Okay. Okay, so I need to cut these on a diagonal. So let me do that. I'm going to cut this way and cut this way. Okay, so I cut fabric A and fabric H squares on that diagonal twice. So that leaves me 4 of each one. And then I have to cut fabric G on the diagonal once. Assemble fabric A triangle, one fabric H triangle, and one fabric G triangle. Trim. Okay, so one of these goes to one of these. And one of these. Okay, so let's press seam open. Let's make sure this works before I sew all of them together, because I do not want to rip these out just when you think you're moving along, doing a good job, something goes haywire. So that looks like that fits pretty well. Okay, so I think I have this correct. So let's sew this on. And then I'm going to make sure that I trim them down according to the measurement given in the pattern. I think I need to change out my foot, because this foot has the upper walking foot, and I feel like it's getting my fabric crinkled up underneath there. So maybe I need to put the other foot back on, because this was happening to me yesterday also. Alright, let's try this foot. Let's see if it gives me the same problems. Because the other foot has this like walking mechanism. I don't know if you guys can see that, but it has this walking foot, and I feel like that this was causing at some points my fabric to get crinkled up underneath there. So I'm going to try it without that, but I still have the same piecing foot on. It just doesn't have the walking mechanism. Okay guys, so this is an example of just when I think everything's going well, it's not. So the white triangle should be on the left like this one is. So I need to re-sew these. I picked them all apart already. So I need to re-sew these so that the triangle is on the left. So we're going to do it like that. Okay, that looks better. It's all fixable. There we go. 2, 3, let's get this one. Oh, this one is still wrong. Okay, let's try this again. going to trim these down to the size they need to be. Okay, even with my snafu, they kind of turned out pretty good. There was a lot of extra room for error for trimming these, so all I did was line up this diagonal on the diagonal on the ruler, and then I trimmed one corner and then flipped the block around, lined that straight edge up with the measurement, and then I trimmed off the other corner. So that's how I trim those off. So I'm going to move on with the next step, and that will be these blocks, these squares. Okay. Let's see. We're going to draw a line down the middle. And I think I'm going to recut this one because you can see part of the selvage in there. So let me recut that. I don't want to see that in the quilt. Okay, I got myself a new piece. And I'm just going to draw a line down the middle. Make a couple triangles. So 1/4 inch from each side. I'm going to trim these down to the correct size. Okay. Again, I like that there was plenty of room to trim these down to size. So I like doing that. I don't know if any of you have ever worked with Deb Tucker's Studio 180 design rulers, but that's the concept she uses when she does a lot of her patterns. She cuts the fabric a little bit more than you need, and then you use the rollers to cut everything down. So I kind of like that concept because piecing isn't always perfect for me, but alright, so we're going to start building this block, and I need this piece to go with this piece, to go with that piece, and then we need the white piece out. So that's what this other piece was for. I'm like, why do I have this extra piece, small piece of fabric? That's why. Don't need these yet. And the white piece out. White piece out. That. There we go. That is the piece. So let me start putting these together. These pieces together. These. I want to make sure these 2 points line up correctly so it looks nested. It says press seams open. Well, actually no, it says for this top section press seams out toward the outer block. There we go. Middle section, press the seam toward the center block. And for this one, we'll press toward the outer block. Okay, so now we need to put these together. this is not going to line up the way it should, and it's going to drive me bonkers. So I'm going to sew just a little bit further in on this. Let's see if these will line up now. Okay, yeah, so I was worried about this seam lining up correctly. It looked like there was way too much space. So all I did was sew this in a little bit further and put another stitch along there. So now I feel better. Okay. And we're going to put this piece on, which this piece had a pretty big seam too. So I'm going to sew in a little further. Okay, it says to press the seams open at this point, so I'm going to do that. And then I'm going to trim it to the size it's supposed to be before I move on to the next section. Do you guys have these kinds of things too, where you're just in the sewing room moving along, but it just seems like it's one of those things that just wants to irritate you, and sometimes that's the time to just put it away and try another day. Okay, so let's trim this up. Okay, it was pretty well spot on. I just took a little bit off this piece right here, but it was pretty much the measurement it was supposed to be. Okay, so now we're going to sew that, like that. And then another one. Bottom, like that, and like that. So that is going to be like that. Okay, so the top and bottom section I am pressing those seams toward the center. Okay, there we go. There's that piece. And this piece. Now for these, we're going to sew the sashing is going to go in the center. going to press toward the outside. Yep. Alright, let's put these on. That goes like that. Woohoo! We're getting there. Okay. I'm going to make sure these line up. Let me wind my bobbin. Actually, I found one already wound. Deal with that later. Well, these line up perfect. There we go. Had some hiccups along the way, but trying to do this on video and feeling like I'm moving too slow or whatever for video purposes, but I like the way it turned out. Okay. Let's hope this lines up as well as the bottom one did. Okay, that looks good. That looks good. Okay. And line up this last one. That looks good. Okay. I am very happy with the turnout, considering the setbacks I had. Okay, so for that we need to press the seams toward the top and bottom. So we're going to press the seam toward that last unit we made. down. And I'm gonna measure the block and make sure it's the size I need. But here it is. I like it. So let's go ahead and sew the sashing pieces on after I measure this. We'll put those pieces on. Okay, so the pattern for each one of these blocks per month comes in its own little booklet with the fabric for that month, but I did buy the finishing kit separate, which comes with this pattern book. So this pattern book has all the data and information needed to finish the rest of the block and the rest of the quilt. So I just need to make sure I'm pressing things the right direction. So we are going to start by sewing these onto the sides. Sew this onto the side. I'm going to press these towards the side. I do have a bigger iron, but sometimes when I'm working with these smaller blocks like this, I don't like using that big heavy iron. I just use this little travel iron I have. Okay, there we go. That is so pretty. I don't usually go for fabrics like these colors. I guess that's why it's a mystery block or a mystery pattern, but all in all, I'm liking this block of the month program because the blocks aren't very hard. I am learning some new things along the way. It keeps you on task or on track to finish the quilt. So I'm kind of enjoying this actually, and I'm on task. This was the last block I received, which was September. I haven't received October yet, so, and I worked ahead and I have the add-ons added to it and have the flower blocks done as far as the big squares. Yeah, so I have these done. So now I need to build the stem that goes to it. And that's these little flowers you see inside there. So I'm working on those. But yeah, I'm kind of enjoying this. I don't know if I would do another one or not. We'll see after this is all said and done. I did do a block of the month with one of my local quilt shops. It was a very hard one, very hard. Let me see if I can find the pattern and I'll show you. So anyway, this is the block of the month I did with one of my local quilt shops. It's called Fair Owl Block of the Month by Studio 180 Designs. And if you listen to the whole video, you hear me talk about Studio 180 Designs using their rulers. But these blocks were pretty intricate blocks. I mean, it was, so here's like one section where you build these on, and then your center star. So that was, let's see, I have them, I think they're in order by month. These were all the fabrics that were used. It was all batiks. These are all the different rulers we used. And but yeah, it was a pretty intricate. There's all the borders that were put on. But this one was a very difficult, time-consuming one, because all those Lemoyne stars, and there's a lot of cutting, a lot of measuring, a lot of squaring up things, and but anyway, yeah, this is fun. I'm enjoying this. I did finish that quilt. It's on my bed actually. I had it quilted and the size of that one was, it was pretty big, but I made my borders wider so I could fit it on a king size bed. But I forget what the finished size was on this. But like I said, I made the borders bigger and put it on my king size bed. It was quite the task. That is for sure. Alright, so this piece I'm pressing toward the bottom. This block of the month, it's pretty simple and easy. It's not as time consuming as that other one. Whoops. I'm messing up things here. There we go. Alright, so we're going to put the sides on. And then this block will be just about ready. I have to build the roof on it. I haven't started on those pieces yet. is ready for the roof. That's another day. Alright guys. There you go. Well, let me zoom out. There we go. There it is. Well, thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed. I'll bring you guys in for the next one, and we'll work on it together. Thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe if you haven't.